This heart of stone. Oh no, no. This heart of stone.
This is a Cherry Les Paul Sunburst guitar. It's one of the greatest rock and roll guitars ever made, and I've enjoyed playing one for years and years, though it is not the first Les Paul guitar that I ever played. The first Les Paul guitar that I ever did play was a black fretless wonder, and it was given to me by my guitar teacher, a man named Tony Tenaglio, in the suburbs of Chicago in Glencoe, Illinois. And for years, about a year preceding the time that I got that guitar, I used to love to pour through Gibson catalogs, and the Les Paul section was my favorite section of the catalog because those were indeed the flashiest guitars. Right around the time when I was using this, I started noticing that in Europe, European guitar players were picking up on this model guitar as well. Keith Richards had played one in the past, and Clapton was currently playing there. When the Butterfield Band went to Europe in '66, I noticed that Peter Green was playing a red Les Paul like this, Sunburst Cherry one, and Eric was playing one, Clapton was playing one, and I wondered to myself, how did they know that this guitar had all the inherent qualities of sustain, volume, and tone that was just better than any other possible rock and roll guitar at that time? But they had known, the word had gotten out. I guess they had experimented by using or trying the guitars. And so we found ourselves this little triumvirate or quartet of very influential American lead guitar players all playing the same guitar, never mentioning amongst ourselves saying, well, my God, I wish that, you know, this is a good guitar, Eric, and maybe you should get one too. But all of us, unbeknownst to the other, was playing the same model guitar. Now, I don't know if this guitar is particularly Les's guitar of choice. I've always used to fantasize that Les Paul, when he would play, that he had the souped-up guitars that were just, you couldn't get them. They were like what Chet Atkins had. They were just, you know, he would do things to his guitar that just was not on the market.
Now this is kind of blow your mind because of the no tuning pegs up here at all and no head on this instrument here. Do the tuning down here, and it has the one pickup on it. It's low impedance, has a steel tail bridge on it, and it's very unusual. It's made of aluminum, and I use this with Paul Whiteman, with Judy Garland. I used it with the Andrews Sisters at the Paramount Theater, and the reaction with this one, they said, my goodness, what has he got now? No matter what I played from the early 30s on, I was totally convinced I had to pick something close to a solid body instrument. Now, you realize that when you put your finger on the first string, that the length of the string is constantly changing. And so the placing of the pickup has to be in a position so that it is optimum or a compromise to the player, so that no matter where he's playing on the guitar, he gets the sound that he wants. Well, I put that on a hollow-bodied guitar, and when I did that, I found that I was getting an unwanted condition developed immediately, because the pickup has a string over the top. The string is doing this. It is vibrating. And not only does that string go in one direction, but it will start to change, and it is unpredictable, like a lady I know, okay? And so what happens with conditions like this is that a second unwanted condition exists, and that is that the top of the guitar is vibrating like this with the pickup in it. So you got a string doing this and the pickup going up and down on the top of the guitar, and saying, hey, only one thing should move, just the string, and not the pickup. So that was where the idea came of taking this whole thing and changing it into something that was fixed. And may I show you what I came up with that sort of will go down in the history, I guess, as a first in its little world. And this is the take. First had one pickup on it. And what we did, instead of taking a railroad tie, which people would laugh at, I thought I would do it with a 4x4 because no one would notice it. Well, I started with a 4x4, and I thought everybody'd fall over, so I put sides on it. And I have another side here, and this is what the sides look like. And these sides just plug onto here, and you screw them on, then you go on your job and you play. When it's screwed on there, it resembles a guitar. It's telling you it's a guitar. But one thing, that the pickup is not moving. The top of the guitar is not moving. And so we call this the log. And because of the log, the solid body came about. I went to the Gibson people, and it took me about 7, 8 years to finally convince them that this is the way to go. And about 1951, the president came to me and he says, you know, I got orders from the chairman of the board to sign you up. He says, find the guy with the broomstick with the pickup on it and sign him up. And I said, okay. And we signed. He says, with one stipulation, and that is we won't use the name Gibson. And what do you suggest? And I said, why don't you call the Les Paul guitar?
Tonight's profile of Les Paul, the Wizard of Waukesha, continues on Night Flight right after this. Night Flight and tonight's profile of guitar legend Les Paul, the Wizard of Waukesha.
I've been asked so many times about the Les Paul guitar and why it's in such demand and why it's so successful. To this day, I am in very close contact with the Gibson people to make sure that the guitar is made exactly the way it should be. Of course, the solid body guitar has proven itself to give you the least amount of feedback, the most sustained, and the placing of the pickups are in the proper places because after spending 8 days without any sleep on the floor for about 19 years that I've off and on worked on these guitars, and I'm talking about a good steady pace of from late in the 20s to now in analyzing a string and understanding the problems. The world being a compromise, the guitar is part of it. And what we have done is compromised and made what we thought was the guitar that would be the most wanted guitar in the electronic field today.